Hey guys, today I want to talk about our impulses, the things we do without really thinking them through. Impulses are usually tiny suggestions from my brain that I act on before I take time to consider the consequences, whether this behavior meets my current goals, or most often, if I'm allowing myself to be distracted from what I should be doing. So let's start with a little story time because I think it's fun. I'll tell you how I learned the concept of impulsivity. I learned it as an 8-year-old in art class. And I feel like before a concept has a name, it's abstract, and once you label it, whenever you see it, you're like, well, that's impulsivity. But I guess up until this point, I had never heard it, so I was just doing it without ever knowing what to call it. So 8-year-old Yael was in art class, and my art teacher was giving what felt like a 500-year-long demonstration on how to shade a complex pencil drawing to add dimension to a city that she was bringing to life on paper. At some point in her demonstration, I lost interest and spotted a container of multicolored glitter pigments next to some glue in the art supplies next to me. I concentrated intently as I used the glue to paint some words on the back of my hand. And once the glue was a bit tacky, I was planning on dipping the words in the glitter. At some point in my concentration, I noticed that I didn't hear the teacher's voice droning on anymore. So she must have stopped giving instructions. And I thought, how long had it been since she stopped talking? For how long had she stopped teaching? I looked up and she was standing over me, glowering, looking so disappointed. She snatched the glue out of my right hand and dragged me to the sink to wash my left gluey hand. I'll never forget because she looked at me like I was a young criminal in the making, and she said, "You are so impulsive." So I didn't know what that meant, but I was certain that my behavior upset her. When I got home, I told my mom what happened, and in true my mom form, she defended me and said the teacher was out of line and behaving inappropriately. More importantly, she explained that impulsivity is when you act without thinking. That was strange to me because I knew that I thought all the time. Actually, I'm always thinking. So I tried really hard to apply it to myself, and when I really thought about it, so many of the things I did fit into the description of impulsivity. I realized that at some point during every school day, at least one of my teachers would ask me to stop speaking to my peers during class. And I would stop for a while with really good intentions. And after they scolded me or after they told me that, I would always remind myself of what they said. I'd be like, this time you're not gonna do it again. They asked you and you're gonna listen. Then I would eventually forget, have a thought, blurt something out, and get in trouble again. So I'm talking about a time when I was quite young. As I matured, I got a handle on the speaking out of turn, like the most obvious low-level impulsive behaviors. But so many other impulsive behaviors follow me into adulthood. And over the past few years, I've developed some strategies for coping with my impulsive tendencies, and I wanna share them with you guys today. So my first strategy is to surf the urge. And by surf the urge, I mean ride it like a wave. When you get the impulse, sit on it for a few minutes before acting. Because I find that if I wait a while and the urge goes away, it's almost always something that I shouldn't have done anyway. This strategy was especially helpful in curing my online shopping habit, which was pretty aggressive soon after I graduated from college and started living alone with my own income. My impulsivity problem with online shopping was that I would always look up really cool stuff and clothes and whatever and drop my orders at the end of the session. And you know, online shopping is designed to make it so easy. You narrow it down to the sizes, shapes, colors, cuts, brands that suit you. And it's really an enjoyable experience, at least for me it is, because I love fashion. So looking at clothing feels like I'm dabbling in fashion, but it's not financially feasible for me to just shop in my spare time. Like, I don't have the budget to just do that. So shopping is something I need to do with intention. I also don't want to just consume pointlessly. And I realized that online shopping is designed to make it as difficult as possible for you not to close the order. Websites give you this false sense of urgency with time-limited sales. Some websites put a clock counting down till the end of the sale, and others sell limited quantities or put a timer on something once you put it in your cart. Like on Outlook, you have 15 minutes, and Amazon Lightning deals, I think you have 15 minutes too. And the reality is that this sense of urgency is part of their marketing strategy. They want you to feel scarcity. They want you to feel that it's going to be so much more expensive tomorrow, but if you didn't need it today, don't go broke saving money. Just because it's on sale doesn't mean that you need to buy it today. If you don't need it right now, you just don't need it. And you shouldn't order it just because it's time limited. And most of the time, a comparable deal will arise during their next sale, and there's always sales. That's how they move product. So don't get me wrong, I still browse when I'm feeling stressed because I love to look at clothing and jewelry. But I realize that there's so many stops between the urge to look and actually making the purchase. And for times when I really just don't even need to be browsing or there's other things I need to do, when I find myself typing the URL of one of the usual retailers into my search bar, I just search something else, watch something interesting or read something interesting, or I call a friend, or I go work out, or I go take a shower. I just do something else because usually when I get that urge, I find that it's just because I need to transition from what I've been doing. So let's say I'm working and it's 6 p.m. and I pull up a random retailer. I don't really want to shop, I just want to stop working. So it's usually as effective and much more financially effective to just transition to another activity. And for the times that I still shop online or need to shop online to get something I actually need, I make a cart, I screenshot the items that I like on my phone, and then I log off. I sleep on it, or I text the screenshots to someone whose opinion I value, usually both of these things. I get their opinion, and then when I see the screenshots the next day, I usually end up changing my mind about most of the items that I liked the day before because I actually don't like it that much, or because I looked in my closet and discovered that I have something similar. You should always do that. You should always look at what you have before you purchase something. Or I realize that I don't need it, or I realize that I don't like it that much. It's very important to physically walk and go look at what you have. The waiting period is so essential because it makes you consider the things you already have and the things you actually want. So the things that you end up buying don't go to waste and you actually use them and need them. Another really big impulse behavior for me where I need to surf the urge revolves around snacking and eating my feelings. An example of surfing the urge around snacking, let's say that you just had a piece of cake and your brain is high on sugar and you immediately feel your brain saying, I want another piece. I'm so bad about this that my brain says that before I even finish the first one. And that's a problem because how could you possibly want something that you already have? That's a binge mentality, which we're definitely going to talk about in another video. I'm not even gonna open that can of worms. But if your sugar high brain is telling you you need another piece of cake right now to prolong that sugar high, I say wait 15 to 20 minutes before you get up and get the cake. Don't deny yourself, don't say, oh, you're not having it. Say, you can have it if you still want it in 20 minutes. And if you still want it after that time, consider it. But almost every time I find myself in this situation, I end up not wanting the second piece anymore because the waiting period gave me a chance to get out of my head and into my body, which made me realize that my body doesn't want to process another sugar bomb. It gives me time to think about the fact that I'm already full. I don't want to feel sick. I don't want to give myself a massive food baby. I realize I'm thirsty and drink a glass of water or make a cup of tea. The point is that taking the break allows you to be mindful and doesn't make you a slave to your urges and give you regrets later. My next tip is to immediately do something else. Your impulse wants you to move, so move, but do something else because physically doing something else will prevent you from acting on a negative impulse. For example, when I wake up in the morning and I hear my alarm go off, I'm usually super groggy, but when my alarm goes off super early, the first thing that I want to do is pull my cell phone in bed with me and read all of my notifications, especially if they're funny or I miss my boyfriend or something. It's really tempting to just grab my phone and bring it in bed with me, but instead, to quell this impulse, I have a habit now. When I hear my alarm, I get out of bed and walk to the bathroom and wash my face and brush my teeth. And then when I check my phone after I've washed my face and brushed my teeth, I don't want to stand there and hold it for an hour. So the chances are I'll probably only respond to the critical messages and leave the rest for later. But if I'm comfy in my bed and I pull the phone into bed with me, I could lay there for a whole hour. And I read somewhere that the first 3 hours of your day not only set the direction and the intention for the rest of your day, but that they're the most focused 3 hours you will ever have mentally throughout the rest of that day. So if I spend 1 out of my 3 focus hours doing something like scrolling my Instagram feed or responding to DMs, it's not the best use of my time, and that's something I can do way, way later if I have time, if I feel like it, and if I do everything else I really want to do that day. But otherwise, bringing my phone in bed with me immediately after waking up is just undermining the things I need to do that morning. And I would rather take that time and do a little meditation and make an extra special coffee with foam on top and pick out a cuter outfit. A big one for a lot of people I know is just sitting on social media when you have to do other things. So if your impulse is to just pick it up and unlock your phone, pick it up, but do something else. Walk to another room, put it down, shut the door, and go do something else. You have to put physical space between you and the phone, or you're gonna keep picking it up because you're making it so easy for yourself. And we always do what's easy, especially when we're tired. If you need to write something for work, go isolate yourself with your work computer and write the thing you need to accomplish, and go visit your phone later once it's done. I have another one about snacking. Clearly this is the big one for me. Snacking late at night. If it's super late and you should be sleeping, I'm talking to myself here, get up, brush your teeth, and go lay in bed. And that extra sleep will probably make you snack less tomorrow. It'll make you feel energized. But if it's earlier in the evening, like immediately after dinner, and you feel you want dessert the second you finish dinner every day, that's something that I want. And it's a habit that's been so hard for me to break. I grew up eating dessert after dinner every single night, and as an adult, I don't have the calorie allowance to be the level of fitness I want to be if I'm eating 300 to 500 calories of extra sugar at the end of every day. I don't even eat processed foods, but that's another episode too. So if you just had dinner and you immediately feel your sweet tooth craving dessert, interrupt the impulse to keep your brain hooked on sugar and just get up, put on a pot of tea immediately. The second you finish dinner, you start the tea. When you have that cup of tea, especially if it's herbal, it should disrupt the sugar craving enough for you to let it go and to move past it instead of indulging it. And that leads so nicely into my next one, which is to pair good habits together. If not eating dessert is your good habit, then the second you take your last bite of dinner, you put the tea on. That's a pair. Make it easy and convenient for you to do the things you want to do. So if you're not trying to snack, don't put cookies on the counter. Don't put them in plain sight. Maybe don't put them in your house. I don't keep them in my house because I will find them hell or high water. I will find them and I will eat them, and that's why they're not in my house. And I never tell myself no because restriction has hurt me in the past, but I reach for something healthier when I'm actually hungry, and when I'm just eating for entertainment, I realize that I shouldn't be doing that. And unprocessed foods lend themselves more to mindful eating anyway. But let's talk about a different topic. So let's say you want to take your vitamins every day. If you want to take them every single day, store them somewhere not only where they're visible, but where they're next to water that you're going to drink. So let's say you keep your vitamins in your bathroom cabinet so you see them every day, but you don't drink tap water from the bathroom sink. Chances are you're gonna take those vitamins way less often than you would take them if they were next to a water filter, because there's a step that you're asking yourself to take the vitamins out, put them in your hand, walk to another room, get a cup of filtered water and drink them. And yeah, it's simple, but when you're doing so many things in the day, you might just overlook it or skip over it because you're busy. And it would just be better to make it easier on yourself. So I keep my vitamins right under my Brita water filter with an empty cup on top of it, and I take them every single day because of it. Water is a great example because a lot of people always have a goal to be more hydrated and to drink more water, but they don't carry a water bottle. So if you want to drink more water, you should carry a reusable water bottle that you fill and drain often, because you can't expect yourself, when distracted by 5 million other things, to remember that you had a goal to drink more water and go somewhere to find or buy it. It's much easier to facilitate the things you want to do so they're automatic and don't require thought. Like if you want to dress to impress for work, every night before you go to bed, pick out your outfit and lay it on the counter or hang it from the doorknob somewhere where you can see it. Do it every night, part of your bedtime routine. Same if you want to work out in the morning. Lay out your exercise outfit and sneakers, inhaler, pre-workout, whatever you need to get yourself up and out the door. And don't ask yourself if you feel like it, because you're asking an impulse. If you slightly feel lazy, then you'll just say, no, I don't feel like it, and you'll do it way less often. Don't make it a choice every time. Just get the action in motion by starting it. And I always do this when I don't feel like running, because I'm always happy that I ran once I start running. I love it. But sometimes I don't have that activation energy. And on those days, I take my inhaler, I put sunscreen on my face and my arms, I put my sneakers on, and oh wow, I'm already starting the process. So I might as well finish it. And it's kind of just like hacking your impulses, because if I say, oh, I think I want to run later, and then I start to get tired around 4 or 5 p.m. and then I say, hey Al, do you want to run? And it's like, I do, but I'm also kind of lazy, but I'd also kind of rather do something else that's easy. And it's better to just hack those things by physically moving in the direction of the thing you want to do. And my final one is a little bit more abstract. It's practicing patience as a skill. You know how when you're lifting heavy weights, you have to will yourself to complete the last few repetitions while your muscles are pumping lactic acid and super fatigued? I have to call on the same resolve to push through when I practice patience. If I get frustrated with something I'm working on, practicing patience looks like sitting through it another 15 minutes instead of giving into an impulse whenever I feel the slightest discomfort. And this applies with people as well. When someone says something I really dislike or really don't agree with, especially now in these super politically polarizing times, I get an impulse to just shut down or shut them out or end the conversation or pick up my phone. And I realized that practicing patience is stepping away from the judgment just long enough to hear them out and postponing that urge to retreat. Because the impulses in my head say, retreat, retreat, they're wrong, don't listen. And I know that I can do better than that. It's also with the impulse to speak when I shouldn't. It's practicing keeping my opinion to myself because I don't always have to be heard and I don't always have to be right. It's like training your patience muscle. It's like training your patience muscles for everything else by not indulging your impulses every time they pop up. I hope this talk was helpful for you guys. I would love to hear about your experiences, struggles, and triumphs over impulsive behavior in the comments below. And if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel as I post a new video every Thursday, almost every Thursday, at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as always, there's so much more talk to come soon. Bye for now.